Hello, excuse me. Where the heck's the camp? Always something. Let's get that up there. There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Forever Conscious Research Channel. So, tonight, to give you a heads. Oh, what is that doing there? Hold on. All right. Got that out of the way. Okay, so hello everybody and welcome back to Forever Conscious Research Channel. I hope you're doing well on this Sunday. So tonight's show, we're going to be oh, jeez. Anything else go wrong? I gotta get a new mic stand. It's on its way out. It keeps popping up in the air. The spring isn't holding for some reason. But anyways, enough of my bullshit problems. So tonight's show is going to be more on pre-birth planning, reincarnation, past lives, soul groups, and so it's going to be a commentary, but it's loaded with Stockholm Syndrome beyond belief. I often like to say that Earth is the biggest case of Stockholm Syndrome on steroids that the multiverse has probably ever seen. And there's probably nothing out there that tops it besides here. So let's just get into really quick. I mean, everyone knows what Stockholm Syndrome is, but I'm just going to throw this up there anyways. So, a psychological phenomenon in which hostages express empathy and have positive feelings towards their captors, sometimes to the point of defending them. Boy, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds like almost everything that goes on here when this realm is explained away, when the atrocities are explained away, when all of the bullshit is explained away. Okay? This quote. I mean, they call it Stockholm Syndrome and post-traumatic stress disorder. And you know, I had no free will. I had virtually no free will until I was separated from them for about 2 weeks. The reason I picked this quote is because this is what we need to do. We need to be separated from this to know the difference. If your captors have got you the whole time in the reincarnation soul trap, and you know, in the astral realm with the soul groups and the soul classes, and then the aiding of the soul script, you know, your life script, and the council and the guides and the masters and the blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden you end up back here. There is no room for us to have those 2 weeks. There's no way to know about those 2 weeks because we've been in this damn thing. Okay? It's so important to recognize that. We haven't had our 2 weeks. It's so again, for the people on the fence, all I'm saying is this. Can it hurt? Even if you do not know for certain that this is going on. I think a lot of us do. But for those who are on the fence, how does it hurt not to go into death with sovereignty and liberation on your mind to take control of you? You know what I'm saying? What's the down point? There's nothing negative about it. And you don't have to make a decision to do anything right away. And the system is set up so at death it's boom boom boom. Come on, let's go. We got to get up there. It's time to go. It's quick. It's purposeful. It's designed that way so you don't have time to recollect yourself. So you don't have time to find yourself at all. You're still within the confines of the Matrix, and you're just being hit with an onslaught of fuckery. Why risk it? Why risk it? I found this one hilarious. Now I mean, amazing how when you are researching something or invested in something, like I've been preparing for this video, and so I searched Stockholm Syndrome just to see if there was any cartoons or any things like this. And so what do we have? We have the guy, the Stockholm Syndrome, Stockholm Syndrome or happy hostage. And you see the top strip, and then it goes dark, and there's a question mark looking at the guy in the basement, or the kid in the basement. And what the hell does the guy say? Come into the light. Oh, how rich is that? But this is my home. I mean, I just found it hilarious that was the first one that I saw. Okay. I think I have one more here. And I thought this one was kind of funny. This animation. We love you. We love you. And that's what it's all about, right? It's all about the love bomb. Everything's love. Everything's love and light, rainbows and unicorns. Unless, of course, you decide to, have the hell-like experience. And in the end, what happens with that anyways? You end up getting sucked into the light or guided by something, and boom. It's a win-win either way for the Matrix. Just saying. Okay. So, now, all I gotta say, my friends, is hold on to your seats, okay? Because we are in for a wild ride. And it's... Now, you probably might recognize some of these people, because they're kind of known in the area, and they're hawking books and all sorts of stuff. And, they got to keep up the facade. And everything is always excuse. Everything's an excuse. So let me hop right into it. And again, I hope you're all doing well out there. I see you in the chat. I'm sorry I won't be able to interact too much tonight, but just want to make sure I send my hellos and let you know I'm thinking of you. Okay. Okay. Our soul group. The Royal Soul Group. Are you ready? All right, here we go. No, unlike last night, it may get a little heated tonight. So I'm just going to be up front. Not going to be kind and empathetic and nice, I see.
James, do we ever break away from our soul group and maybe experiment with a little bit diverse soul groups?
So when we look at a soul group, I believe, and of course I won't know till I pass over, but I think we're part of many soul groups. Yeah, I don't think it's just one soul group. I think we're part of many soul groups all at the same time, simultaneously. And I really think that's closer to it. So I like a lot about the tree. The analogy of a tree, because you have the
Okay, so he says there's a lot of soul groups that we may be involved with, which may be the case. We kind of theorized on that with Michael Newton's books, but overall, it seems like you're mostly in the same soul group, and they actually go through a lot of effort to make sure that you're not intermingling with the other soul groups. And that's something we see. So, just throwing that out there. That's right. Fuck the soul groups. Yo, I'm on my own crew. There you go. I like that comment, Jimmy.
Trunk, and you have all those branches and leaves, which make up that one tree. So, we're probably part of a lot of different soul groups, I think.
Safe to say that we choose our parents, our children,
Absolutely. We certainly choose those relationships. Those are very formative. And some people are fortunate enough to have parents that they have a beautiful, loving relationship with. They feel loved and supported throughout their life. And others are not so fortunate. They might deal with a parent that has an addiction or that is not able to show them love.
Okay, now I'm just going to let you know this woman is batshit. I mean, they're all batshit. I mean, I feel like this guy, the interviewer, I mean, maybe he was trying to find answers and ran across, all the new age stuff and fell into the trap. And maybe he was doing a serious dive and asking some of the people in the field, loosely say that, the field, for some answers. And, got caught up in it, because that does happen. Or I think actually the entire video, all of them are just Matrix enforcers. Okay, so sorry. Let's continue. But this one, oh my God! Wait till you hear what she has to say.
Throughout their life. And others are not so fortunate. They might deal with a parent that has an addiction or that is not able to show them love or that are dealing with their own challenges. And we really come in to give them the opportunity to do better and also to learn and to choose to not be a victim in these situations, to have our own autonomy and identity. Those are roles, though, that I believe parents, siblings, spouses, those are roles that are always agreed to before we come in.
I always wonder if we ever break away from our soul group and want to experience another soul group.
My understanding of a soul group is that it's a collection of souls who are at more or less the same vibration, meaning more or less the same evolutionary stage. You take turns incarnating with the various members of your soul group, playing every conceivable role for each other. So you and the other members of your soul group will be father and son, mother and daughter, brother and sister, husband and wife, best of friends, maybe even murderer and the one who is murdered. And there's no judgment at the soul level of any of the roles. They're all seen as opportunities for expansion.
Okay, so everything he said was correct. Up until the everything's there for your expansion, your soul's expansion. But as far as everything he said about the soul group, spot on. It's exactly what I see as well. And how this whole insane matrix is thriving. And he's also saying that they're on our soul group is on this similar spiritual level. In my opinion, if you're here, what soul level are you on? You're just in the vortex of deception. No one is progressing. Nobody progresses unless they figure out how to get their ass out of here. That's it. Those are the two groups. Either you're stuck here and in the vortex of the matrix, or you figure it out and you get out of here. There's no in between.
Learning. Now, in regard to learning, some members of a soul group invariably learn faster than others.
Sure.
So they may evolve out of their soul group and move into a higher vibrational soul group. And by the same token, there may be another soul group of lower vibration than yours, but there are some fast learners in there who then move into your soul group. So for the most part, you're incarnating with the same souls again and again, but a few will move out and a few more will move in. Although when you put your life plan together, if you need a soul to play a particular role for something that you're scripting, and there's no soul in your soul group that is skilled at that or wants to take on the role, you will go to another soul group and ask another soul there.
Okay, he's said a lot there. So I'm just going to rewind because there are some important points. Won't be long. I was hoping he would stop at a second there, but he just kept going.
Move into your soul group. So for the most part, soul group and move into a higher vibrational soul group.
Okay, so he's talking about higher vibrational soul group when spirits leave. Now, when they leave, I think it's either one of two things. They've either escaped or the Matrix has promoted them to be a literal enforcer. You know, something like a guide, something like a master, maybe even someone on the council of elders, whatever or a really sick bastard down here, like a president or top corporate executive, things like that. That's when I think there's movement. So either you escape or you become an even like a raging parasite, and the Matrix is like, yes, you're promoted. You get the gold watch at the retirement party and everything.
And by the same token, there may be another soul group of lower vibration than yours, but there are some fast learners in there who then move into your soul group. So for the most part, you're incarnating with the same souls again and again, but a few will move out and a few more will move in. Although when you put your life plan together, if you need a soul to play a particular role for something that you're scripting, and there's no soul in your soul group that is skilled at that or wants to take on the role, you will go to another soul group and ask another soul there, would you, agree to play this role for me? That happens quite frequently.
It happens. I don't know how frequent it is because, again, from everything I've seen, they try to keep you in that group. But I suppose, yes, if they need someone to play backup and they've got you fully indoctrinated and ready to get your ass back down to earth, then they're probably, gonna call in, the help, bring in the relief pitcher type deal,
It didn't take me long to realize that this place is quite different than the afterlife. A whole new set of rules and things I wasn't exactly comfortable with. The memory of the afterlife was starting to disappear. It was now time to immerse myself into the human experience. What's all involved in designing our life plan? Like, what's all involved with?
Sure. I believe that there's groups whose job it is, beings, guides, teachers, who gather together with the soul or soul group, and they figure out the curriculum for that soul to learn. The best
the curriculum. Interesting words. Not like we didn't know that, but I just love pointing out things like that. Curriculum. School. Hierarchy. Know your role. Get in line. Go to school. And that's it.
opportune time for them to be born so that various experiences will be available at that particular second the first breath is taken. Doesn't matter if cesarean or born naturally, it's when that breath is taken. And really, things will happen to that soul because of that, in that way. The planets are a certain position when we're born. Everything goes into movement in the physical the moment we take our first breath. So I think that they look at that, the opportunities that that soul needs that can afford that soul to grow. And this is interesting too. There might be a soul that comes back. Let's say there was they left the body, suicide. Let's just say suicide, and they left the body. They were feeling great, but they left the body because they didn't want to be here anymore. They might find that, let's say it's 30. They might find when they come back that there's going to be certain factors that are the exact same factors that they had in their previous life around 30 years of age, and there might be a soul memory that comes, like they feel negative, they feel fearful, but they got to realize they can't leave the world because in another lifetime they did. Mm-hmm. So it might not even be conscious, but they might feel this at the same time, physical time, 30 years old, something stirred inside of them, and it's an opportunity to grow.
Oh, it's an opportunity. So, if you, maybe offed yourself in your last lifetime, well, welcome to your new lifetime. So maybe when you offed yourself, we're going to throw it at you when you're 30, and it's time to grow and learn. See how sick and twisted this is? It's ridiculous. And ridiculous in the fact that it exists. That's the problem, is that this is going on and the Stockholm Syndrome is running strong.
And sometimes souls don't do it. Sometimes some souls will choose to go back to that old way and end their life, or whatever the experience is. Or some souls will move on and learn from it and move on. So that's just something to look at. I think very interesting.
the best that I understand, a pre-birth plan are plans that we make before we come into the physical. We usually make them with people in our soul group. Those are people that maybe perhaps we've had other lifetimes with. We come in, we are surrounded by guides that will be with us for all of our life.
Parasites.
We go to Akashic Records. We have a lot of help.
The ether and our spirit mixed with the soul veil that applies not just here, but in the astral, that you have limited access to, because you can't access your full true spirit essence by design.
Help deciding on what we want to learn and experience here in the physical. Sometimes we might come in as a supporting player. Say you need to have a lifetime where you experience addiction or loss or mental illness. I might agree to come in and support you through that, and there'll be lessons that I learn through that as well, or it could be vice versa.
Hear this. Yeah, the only way to spiritually grow is through addiction and misery. And, you know, this one person's going to be there for you, and they likely won't be. No matter, I mean, sometimes people are there when the cards fall, but there's oftentimes many situations and lives, I'm sure, that don't. Okay? Not everyone is, you know, in this fantasy world where, you know, you can rely on people to be there when shit hits the fan, no matter what the scenario is. It just doesn't work that way. That's not the way it is.
It really depends on what lessons the soul decides to learn.
Yeah, it depends.
Why do you think it is hard for people to grasp the idea of a pre-birth plan? What are some of the challenges you've seen?
Part of the challenge, I think, is being in Western society, because this idea is not part of Western society. In Eastern societies, I think it's more easily accepted. A lot of it has to do with religious conditioning. You know, the conditioning you're raised with by your parents. That's very powerful, and if it doesn't include some kind of teaching about pre-birth existence or pre-birth planning, it can be very difficult to open up to that later in life. But I think there's something else even bigger going on here, and that is there's an entire category of people who are resistant to the idea that we plan our lives before we're born, and the reason they're resistant is that it makes them no longer victims. There are a lot of secondary benefits to being a victim.
Oh, yeah. See that guy's smile? That's my smile. Yeah. It's a lot of benefits. A lot of benefits to being a victim. I mean, really, I feel there should be an EMT behind me during this commentary.
And that is, there's an entire category of people who are resistant to the idea that we plan our lives before we're born. And the reason they're resistant is that it makes them no longer victims.
Conditioning.
There are a lot of secondary benefits to being a victim.
Secondary benefits.
Well, there are. You know, you get sympathy from other people.
Benefits.
It's a way to bond with others who
Celebrity.
see themselves.
You become a celebrity.
It's a way to bond with others who also see themselves as victims. And I'm not judging or putting that down. It's only natural that people would be drawn to those sorts of benefits. But at some point, if you're really going to heal and learn and grow, you have to move beyond victim consciousness. So if you...
Okay, let me just say, he's right about that. You gotta move past victim consciousness. If something's happened to you, like I've had some pretty nasty shit happen to me in my life that maybe someday I'll share. And I know a lot of you have shared things with me, very personal things. And I know there's a lot of really messed up things that have happened in this community of that we have here. Okay? Now, really, really quickly, I found myself in a rabbit hole, or in a, I'm sorry, not a rabbit hole, that's the worst place to put it, but like a black hole, I guess you can say, where I had been stewing for many, many, many years about the things that happened to me when I was younger. And I went to therapy, psychiatrist, did all that stuff for many years. And all I found is that all I was being told was like, keep talking about it, keep talking about it, keep talking about it. It's like, how long are you going to rehash the past? And again, like, put yourself in this victim mentality. It's not a healthy state to be in. If things happen that are messed up, they're messed up, and it doesn't mean that, they should be forgiven or whatever, but you have to work on healing yourself so that you can move on and live a more productive life day to day. Now, again, if something happened recently to somebody, I get, it's different. It's different for everybody. The point is living the life of a victim day to day. The system that takes care of our, in our body, health. It's like, I want to be careful with this. It's set up to wallow in victimhood. It is. That's some really... this is, again, for me, like what happened to me. I'm not saying that's the case with everybody, but a lot of people I've talked to who've gone down a similar paths have said the same, that it just seemed like it was just this never-ending cycle of, week in and week out, rehashing the same old stuff. So that's all. And maybe someday I'll get into everything, we'll see.
Buy into the concept that you are the powerful soul who planned all the major experiences in your life, then you can no longer be a victim. It makes you responsible for what's happening in your life. And in order to really heal, you have to take responsibility for what happens in your life. But there are people who are not.
You have to take responsibility? It's, I don't know if he's talking about the misdeed that happened to you, or just responsibility in general to move on for yourself. Maybe I missed
responsible for what's happening in your life. And in order to really heal, you have to take responsibility for what happens in your life. But there are people who are not ready to do that, and they're very resistant to this idea.
Yeah, accountability is difficult.
So why do you think it's difficult for some people to grasp the idea of a pre-birth plan?
Well, a pre-birth plan really puts the responsibility on us. And a lot of people like to think or do think or have been taught to believe that that's outside of us, that there's someone else responsible for the way that our life goes. And from my experience...
Now listen, it has to be said that yes, we did consent. That can't be stated enough, but we consented under the most screwed up scenarios possible. All right. By the time we get to like the life script process, the memories of the previous life are long, long gone. We've been through soul classes and God knows what. And if you died at unexpected death or very young age, then yeah, you're pushed through the cycle a lot quicker. But the point is we go through that whole process and we do consent. But the normalization of the atrocities and the wretchedness of the life script and everything that comes with incarnating here, no, that's just psychobabble.
When I've heard from my guides, we are the ones that make those decisions. We're completely supported in spirit. Perhaps we take a little bit too much off, come in and still have to have that experience anyway. But usually we're really guided as to what we should choose and what would be best learning experiences for us. So when we come here and have those experiences, it can be overwhelming. It can feel as though we're being punished or victimized when we've made this choice or decision for ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's, again, did you hear the ding, 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 ding? She says, oh, my guides told me. So again, she is like all the others. She's getting outside influence coming in, and those are matrix reinforcement officers that come in and tell her that, oh, this is what you tell people. And well, what do you know? She ends up on a documentary. How convenient. Isn't that incredible? What are the chances of that?
So we're being punished or victimized when we've made this choice or decision for ourselves.
Yeah, well, I think it can be comforting to be a victim.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a case as well too. When we do choose to be responsible for our life, however, that's a scary thing as well too, because there isn't an outside force we can blame it on. I had someone say to me just yesterday, I really feel like God is testing me. And I said to them, how about if you were just testing yourself? What if you knew that these experiences were coming and you would find the strength in yourself to overcome it? And it really just shifted the entire way that he looked at the situation. It was a big aha moment for him.
Yeah, because she manipulated him with her babble from her guides, and the poor guy was spiritually vulnerable, and she took advantage of that. That's what happened. And normalized the whatever the horrible experiences were that this person encountered. Lovely. Do we drift off course?
Can we stray away from our life plan, or are there guides that say, hey, get back on track?
Well, it could be guides, sure. And I think we have free will. I think we have free will to, let's say, for instance, we're walking down a path, and there's a pond or a lake in the distance. We want to go down there and hang out at that lake. You have the right, free will to hang out to that lake as long as you want. But eventually, your higher self, or your guides, but I think more it's your higher aspects, will get you back to that path that you're meant to be on. So that's really what it is. And you know more about being on your path the more in tune you are with your soul, right? So, and there are people talk about destiny and free will too, which is jump in here. So it might be on your plan that you're destined. There are destiny points this all has to go through. So it might be destined that you meet somebody. You meet somebody, you have a coffee, you have a first date, but you have the free will what you're going to do with that person. You continue to date them and go out on several dates, become a relationship, or you can just have that one coffee and then it's on to something else. So that's your free will. You can choose that.
Whoop-de-freaking-do.
Choices, again, are made easier the more you know yourself. You know, the more you have that sense of intuition.
All right, let me chime in on Iceman's comments. He says, I know exactly who he's talking about. Said, memories erased without choice in the matter. If you end up reincarnating here, yeah, if you fall for the tricks at the time of death, then you do. If you go up into the astral at night when you're sleeping, your memories get wiped. But there is a consent there, but then part of the consent, this is the crazy part, part of the process is that you agree to have your memories wiped out, and we see this in near-death experiences all the time. Well, not all the time, but a lot, where I should not say all the time, but we see it enough where it's a data pattern of great concern, and when these things start to cross over, and then we know it exists for when we leave here, and there's this involvement even with DMT and ayahuasca trips, the breakthrough experiences specifically. There's this pattern that exists that shows that we are told that, yeah, we're going to let you keep these memories, but everything like this one thing or this set of memories going forward that I'm going to tell you now is not going, you're not going to be able to remember it. You're going to be veiled, and there's an agreement made. The whole point is, you know, we are extremely limited while we're here, but at the time of death, that's when we can finally take control of ourselves and transcend that veil of forgetfulness and not allow it ever again. Remember, the biggest lesson that we learned here is that we will never give our true spirit essence away, not even a 0.00001% of it in exchange for an experience in another realm. Once you do that, then all I got to say is, look, we're here now. That proves everything. So it's something that really has to be analyzed that deeply. So it lays out the mechanism and how it all functions, and that we really hold the cards at the end of the day. But unfortunately, we got to serve out our sentence and all that fun stuff.
So I would say that we choose our challenges prior to birth.
Absolutely. They're all chosen. We do have free will when we're here. I mean, there's obviously choices and chances that we can take, and it might alter an outcome slightly. But if we are supposed to transition a certain way, or supposed to experience a certain disease or disorder or a relationship, those are inevitable. Even if we take a different path, we always end up where we are meant to be.
So how can we gain insight as to better understand our life plan so we can make sure we're still on track with
Right. I think that the people that ask that question really have nothing to worry about. It's those of us that don't ever ask that question, or don't ever wonder, are we where we need to be? A couple of ways that you can really kind of check in. I think we each have a little intuition. We each have that little voice in knowing. If something feels wrong and it's taking a lot of your energy, or you just don't get any pleasure from it, it's time to reevaluate that. There's also meditation and yoga, spiritual prayer. For everybody, there's something different that just lets you kind of connect.
Okay, let you connect. What about the hordes of people that don't connect? Okay? I'm just going to say, I've done a lot of work, inner work on myself, and I feel like I've found a lot. But at the same time, I'm missing tons of it. I don't have even when I was lost in the sauce of all sorts of matrix constructs like Buddhism and all this other stuff. I didn't, and maybe trying to contact spirit guides and all this crap that maybe some of you did, but I know I did. And I never got some grand communication saying, "Oh, you finally, you triggered yourself. You're awake and blah blah blah. Here's what you're supposed to be doing. Here's some of the way things are supposed to play out. Or we were trying to do this, but you went this way." No, there's nothing. We come here under the veil of forgetfulness, not knowing where we came from, why we are here, and where we are going. And what the heck, why? Why is that? I mean, again, I'm not some big guru guy. I don't pawn myself off as a guru, but what I'm saying is I put a lot of effort into trying to find myself. And this is where I'm at. This place is a scam. Okay, so she's full of shit, point blank. Okay, that's the bottom line.
We each have that little voice in knowing. If something feels wrong and it's taking a lot of your energy, or you just don't get any pleasure from it, it's time to reevaluate that. There's also meditation and yoga, spiritual prayer. For everybody, there's something different that just lets you kind of connect. And also listening to your heart and your voice, that's your higher self. That will never lead you astray.
Never leave you astray. Never. It's led me astray. I am, man enough to admit that. Where I thought I knew something and connected with something, and I was completely wrong and misled. And that's, again, I put in a lot of work. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I'm just trying to say that I put in a lot of work and I've been misled, for forever. All right. Until I went and said, finally, enough is enough. Everything is within, and I'm not going to allow outside influences to do this or do that. Okay? That's really it. So, spirit guides and life scripts and blah, 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 blah. Get out of here.
That there's also meditation and yoga, spiritual prayer. For everybody, there's something different that just lets you kind of connect. And also listening to your heart and your voice, that really, that's your higher self. That will never lead you astray.
Do you think that it's possible our soul could be working on two simultaneous lives somewhere else, or is this even possible?
Well, my understanding is that is what the average soul is doing. There are a number of physical incarnations all happening at the same point in time, and there are also a number of non-physical lifetimes happening at the same time. So you might think of it this way. Imagine that every lifetime, both physical and non-physical, that a soul is currently having, each one is like a song on a CD. Now, you, because of the limitations of the five senses, if you're playing a CD, you can only listen to one song at one moment in linear time. But your soul has no limitation like that. It's like your soul is listening to all the songs on the CD at the same point in time, because it's perceiving all of those physical and non-physical lifetimes in each moment.
Again, the time thing gets in the way.
The time thing.
Yeah. Is it true that we choose things like cancer, alcoholism, abusive parents? Do we choose these?
I think it's a little more complicated than that, because I think there's
Okay, I'm going to sugarcoat it for you, okay? And try and make it seem all fluffy and wonderful. And just hang in there with me, okay? Now, follow my watch, okay? You are getting very Stockholm Syndrome-y. Very Stockholm Syndrome-y. Now follow. Stay with me. Stay with me. You belong here. Everything's right. Doesn't matter. Okay, now let's hear.
Things like cancer, alcoholism, abusive parents. Do we choose these?
I think it's a little more complicated than that, because I think there's many factors are involved in those issues. So, for instance, I think it has a lot to do with genetics. I think the heredity that you come in with, that strain, that line of genetics, might be predisposed to cancer or predisposed to alcoholism. So that might be a possibility that that soul takes on that condition, and they choose that family line because maybe they have to learn something through cancerous condition. Or
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to learn through cancerous conditions, right, guys? I mean, it's the most logical explanation ever that, you have to come down here and learn through cancer. That's the only way you can spiritually evolve here. That's it. It's the only way.
might be a possibility that that soul takes on that condition, and they choose that family line because maybe they have to learn something through cancerous condition or alcoholism. So again, it's about learning. So they'll choose a family line where that might be a possibility.
Oh, okay.
So it's an interesting way to look at it. Now again, once you have that situation, you can decide what to do about it, right? And this is an interesting thing too. It came through to me with AIDS, when AIDS first came around. And I worked a lot with AIDS patients. I was a volunteer in many places. It came in, that was the first time that came through to me, and some kinds of cancers as well, in that that soul might have chosen that condition, whether it's AIDS or cancer or another condition, to kind of be a martyr, in that they're trying to relieve a lot of the negative karma of this planet. It might be such an evolved being that they're taking on that condition in order to take away the negative energy of the planet. So that's an interesting insight too, which is a possibility. Another thing which
Okay. Just a minute. 1 minute.
out of the negative karma of this planet.
The negative karma of this planet.
It came in, that was the first time that came through to me, and some kinds of cancers as well, in that that soul might have chosen that condition, whether it's AIDS or cancer or another condition, to kind of be a martyr, in that they're trying to relieve a lot of the negative karma of this planet.
Boy, that's really working well. What do you guys think? Does it seem like the negative karma of this planet is redeemable by one one incarnation that's got a life script? Do you see the Stockholm Syndrome on full display? We have no loyalty to fix this place. I used to think that, okay? And I'm telling you, do what you want to do. But if you feel that you can come out here and that your life script and you file for all this psychobabble and it's going to, fix the negative karma here and you're a martyr because, for that cause. Remember, you have a mission, just in like in near-death experiences. You're on a mission. Your mission's not done yet. You've got to get back down to earth. So let's go. What are you doing slacking off here wanting to go? Huh? Get back down there. You listen to me. It's insane.
It might be such an evolved being that they're taking on that condition in order to take away the negative energy of the planet.
Now you see how he frames it, like you may be such an evolved being that this is you're like at the top echelon of the class of the millennium here. I mean, you chose this script and this was what you were supposed to do. I mean, you're at the top here. I mean, you're really close to getting out, really close. Insane.
So that's an interesting insight too, which is a possibility. Another thing which is interesting, I once brought through a brother who was quadriplegic in life. And he came through very clearly in walking and dancing. And he said, I took on that condition because I had to teach other people around me about unconditional love. And he was a very evolved being that took on that condition to teach others about unconditional love.
Taking one for the team.
Taking one for the team. And when you're evolved and you look down, you realize life is very short. So what's the point? That condition is, that's nothing in the scope of time. And it helps a lot of souls.
Why would we choose experiences with great challenge?
We don't really see them as great challenges before we come in. When we're doing our pre-birth planning, we understand that these are learning and growing experiences. And again, it's something that we can read about, hear about from others in spirit, but until you experience them, there's theory and then there's practice. We put them into practice here when we come into the physical. So they only seem to be challenges and difficulties when we're here. And some people do agree to have these experiences. Let's say not everyone that has cancer chooses to have cancer, but some people would come in to have that experience. Perhaps they want to help others study the disease, or perhaps you're my caregiver.
Oh, yes, everyone that wants, maybe you're going to be a researcher to help study the disease. All of this, love and light, everything is incredible, but, comes to cancer. Decades and decades of money and research, and somehow they can't figure it out. Cancer's a huge industry and extremely profitable. And all these nonprofits are just stealing money. Okay? Point blank. Let's not beat around the bush and it's like I had family members that died of cancer, okay? It's like it's a horrible, horrible thing to witness. But, I'm not under this illusion that, there's not a solution out there after all these years. I mean, they have all these technologies in modern day. And they haven't figured that one out. All this money, all this research. Come on. I know I kind of went off on a tangent there with that part, but she's sugarcoating, saying, "Oh, well, maybe you came down. You're going to be the researcher that figures it all out," and blah 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 blah. Come on.
And you need the challenge of learning how to care for others.
Okay.
I would make that agreement so that you could have an experience as well too.
My understanding is that the personality has what you could call an eternal core. We talked earlier about soul archetypes. So your eternal core would be determined in large part by your soul archetype. Your core would have certain intrinsic qualities.
Notice how he said soul archetype. Now, the one thing I'll be doing a video on in the future, and I've touched upon this a few times, is the difference between the soul and the spirit. The spirit is your true essence. That's whatever created you gave you spirit and brought you into existence. Okay, now let's not get crazy and go say 5,500 Hail Marys and get down to your knees and no. Creator doesn't need to be bowed down to or this or that. Okay, a creator created and that's it. And who's to say that there's not multiple creators? Okay, I did that in a video few back. All right, so if you want to see something about the creator, I'm not going to go on a tangent about that, but let's just continue. Yeah, because I could trail off on that one a lot.
So your eternal core would be determined in large part by your soul archetype. Your core would have certain intrinsic qualities.
I'm sorry, I did fail to address. Again, spirit is the true essence within you. Okay. Soul is a matrix attachment that comes with you when you come down here. Okay. Now, I do think also the soul can carry over multiple incarnations and have a edited life script, so to say. Okay. So remember, you are spirit. You are not soul. Soul is related to the matrix. There's a huge difference, and there is this huge blurring of the lines between soul and spirit. It's massive. There's a huge difference. Spirit is the real you. Soul is the counterfeit you. It's the best way to frame it up there.
Right. And then wrapped around that, in each incarnation, are different qualities that are part of the personality just for that incarnation.
And see, he just talks about that. I can confirm with what he just said that, different incarnations bring about different qualities, different personalities based on, the life script that you may approve, based upon the soul group integration that you may have. And if you want, if you're new to the channel, go check out my commentary on Journey of Souls and then Destiny of Souls by Michael Newton. I did both books cover to cover, and have also done research into other regressions and life scripts and how all that works. And there's a huge set of pattern recognition points that you can see very clearly. You don't have to even bank on those books, but those books condense a nice sample. One is 29 case studies. The other one is, I think, 70, something like that. Or I think it's, 29 and 79. So feel free to check those out. But definitely, if you're going to watch them, check out Destiny of Souls first, and then go to, Journey of Souls first, and then Destiny of Souls.
So your eternal core, your eternal characteristics carry on across lifetimes, but then within each lifetime, each personality has certain unique aspects to it.
Do you think that when we're, let's taking into consideration a pre-birth plan, and we decide to be an abusive person,
Okay.
That to me sounds like something that's here on this planet. Do you think that we put on that personality like a jacket, like I'm going to be a jerk?
It would be something that I would have agreed to come in. And usually those are souls that have not come here to the physical very, very often. They are souls that tend to reside on the other side. They just don't seem to have much life experience. They come in with those lower positions, that lower energy, and they would wear and assume the coat or the cloak of an abuser or someone that's cruel or someone that's very self-destructive or destructive.
You hear this shit? She basically talks about, if you're new here, it's like, where did the spirit come? She likes to use the word soul, okay? But where did the spirit come before all this? The spirit was not born in this matrix. I'll tell you that much, okay? So it's almost like she has this weird, creepy judgment and she knows it all. She knows it all. And, you get what I'm saying. She's just, it's like, oh, well, you haven't been here that long. So, you might as well just be shit on my shoe.
And they would wear and assume the coat or the cloak of an abuser, or someone that's cruel, or someone that's very
Unreal.
self-destructive or destructive to others. And that is not their true self. That is not their higher self. Their higher self is that piece of divinity. The duality is that their soul is this perfect, loving state of being. And here in the physical, they've agreed to come in to experience what it is like to be an abuser.
So I think that plays directly with judgment then. If we see a person that's mean or sarcastic or rude or something like that, we automatically pass a judgment that this person's rotten.
Some people do, but
I mean, if we know that it's just
Right.
it's just a learning
absolutely,
tool.
it takes away our need to judge that situation or that person. They came in to have this experience of being a jerk or being sarcastic or being cruel. They needed to learn that, and they might not even be doing it for themselves. They might be doing it for the people that are in their
I was
life
gonna say,
for
yeah.
their learning experience,
So they can overcome.
right?
They love you so much that, they might, destroy your life when you get down here. It's all part of the learning experience, guys. It's all love. It's all out of love and spiritual evolution. So if I slaughter my mother tomorrow, it's out of love. You see, it's about ascending. It's about learning. I mean, it's insane.
Stand up.
Absolutely, and their soul can grow from that, and they can learn what they need to learn.
Ooh, the Matrix loves judgment, but let's see where it goes.
And that's just it. Coming back to the idea of judgment, we have all sorts of judgments as a society about people who fall into certain categories of experience. Homelessness, drug addicts, alcoholics, again, people with certain illnesses like AIDS. We think of those people as losers. We say they need to get their act together. They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
I've never thought of those people as losers. It's kind of an interesting thing to say. I've never thought of them as losers. Well, not very love and light of you, sir. Let's hear that again. Very revealing.
Again, people with certain illnesses like AIDS. We think of those people as losers.
Yeah, people with AIDS, they're losers. Can you believe this guy? You believe this guy?
We say they need.
That's his subconscious shit going on right there. That's how he feels. and he's telling you how he feels about homeless people, drunks, drug addicts, and people with AIDS. That's his problem. Jesus Christ.
We have all sorts of judgments as a society about people who fall into certain categories of experience. Homelessness, drug addicts, alcoholics, again, people with certain illnesses like AIDS.
Wow.
We think of those people as losers. We say they need to get their act together. They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And yet what is actually happening there is that these are very, very courageous souls who are taking on a huge challenge that most of us wouldn't dare to take on. They're doing it in part in service to the rest of us so we can learn non-judgment, unconditional love, compassion, and yet we have all these terrible judgments of them because we don't understand what is actually happening.
The service to us.
I mean, honestly, I could pause this. I could pause. There's no way we're going to be able to finish this tonight. I mean, it's insane. All right, but this guy is a piece of work. And I saw a good comment. I just want to dive in really quick. And said, yeah, forever sugarcoating. And I liked Eli's comment. Stephen Greer's brother. I saw that. I was like, oh my God, he does look like Greer's brother.
take on. They're doing it in part in service to the rest of us so we can learn non-judgment, unconditional love, compassion, and yet we have all these terrible judgments of them because we don't understand what is actually happening.
The service to other through suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. All each others. Yeah. I noticed that I started to lose my important. So what?
Sorry, I had to skip that part just because of the music. Okay.
So what is it about particularly challenges that is so important?
I think challenges expand a person, depending upon how you respond to them, can lead to great expansion, great wisdom. As I said earlier, it breaks people's hearts open, which sounds painful and certainly is painful, but that's where the unconditional love is. And once your heart is fully open, you're a conduit for divine love. You are channeling divine love into the physical realm. That's, I think, ultimately what the soul is aiming for. But to get there, you have to open up to divine love. And many souls will not do that until some kind of great challenge breaks them open. And
why isn't it easier? And why isn't it easier? Am I missing something here? Because it's all a scam. That's why.
then they're put on a spiritual path. Then they want to know, why am I suffering? What does it mean? Is it meaningless, arbitrary, and random, or is there some deeper purpose served by this? And once you're on that path, your intention to find answers to those questions draws the answers to you. It creates an energetic vortex that pulls the answers to you.
Oh, yeah.
But people don't embark upon that kind of path usually unless there's something pushing them to do it. And often the thing giving them the push is something painful.
Suffering is really...
You know, he's kind of right about that, but the point is it shouldn't be that difficult. And even then, because part of my spiritual awakening was through massive pain, okay? Massive confronting of the real me and putting the old me in the past and bringing the new me forward. But did I get some, grand communication line? Like, Soul Group headquarters, please hold. Okay. You figured it out. And this is where you go from here. Didn't get the call. Did any of you get the call?
Unfortunately, one of the biggest ways that we learn, it's one of the really big ways that we grow. If you've ever experienced a tremendous loss, you go through the grieving process, and usually at the end of it, there's a transformative process that happens to you. Some relationships end, people change jobs, they realize that their mortality is glowing in their face, and we tend to make big decisions at that time. Hey, I'm not happy with the direction my life is going in, or I'm very happy with this and I want to do something to help others, or I want to do something else for myself. It seems to take those really moments when we're on our knees and very much suffering for transformation to occur. It shouldn't take those moments, but it does seem to occur that way. And when we're in spirit, we can experience the suffering. It is a place of love and bliss. We can hear about it, but only here in this form of the physical can we know what that feels like. And when we go back into spirit, we share our experience with those around us.
So it's hard to learn. Suffering is a place that we only can experience here.
Absolutely.
And of course, in the afterlife.
Oh, it's only you can only experience it here. That's not true. I've seen hell-like near-death experiences. I've seen I've personally experienced bad trips on acid, but other people experience bad trips on not just acid, but mushrooms, DMT, ayahuasca. And I'm talking about breakthrough experiences where they leave this place. They are not in the physical body. They go out of body, okay? And then you have deathbed visitations that result in before the person is dead, could be, 20 12, 24 hours, 3 days, even a week, maybe sometimes even a little longer. And then there's premonitions, and we're not going to go down that road. But what I'm saying is all of these things, there have been negative interactions where the person literally has an out-of-body experience, okay? They are disconnected from their body and experience a negative situation. That is, it's not like they can get killed because that's their part of their true spirit essence, even though they have a soul attachment. But the point is they can suffer, okay? It's just different than how you can equate it to when you're in a physical body. So she's wrong. But you'll smile about it. There's no suffering. No. Everything's love and light.
Love and bliss. We can hear about it, but only here in this form of the physical can we know what that feels like. And when we go back into spirit, we share our experience with those around us.
So it's hard to learn. Suffering is a place that we only can experience here.
Absolutely.
And of course, in the afterworld, there is no suffering.
There is no suffering there.
So how would you really be able to put the boots on and be that person?
Again, it's suffering if you're within the confines of the matrix. Being linked in the matrix itself is a suffering experience. That's it. Because if you're trapped within it, you're going to come back here, or you're going to be under the grips of it, possibly in another physical reality or something in the astral, but you're going to be linked to it. Okay? You have to liberate yourself. That is the most important part. Sovereignty and liberation. You keep relying on something outside yourself, well, good luck.
There's learning something in theory, and then there's putting the clinical hours into actually doing the event. I can know everything about how to do a heart transplant. I've learned that. I've watched it be done. But until I actually am down there with my tools and having this chest open, I can have no idea what that experience is like. That's what it is like in spirit. We can hear about it, we can learn it, we can see it, but we can't experience it. Only coming here can have that experience. That's immersion.
Isn't there any way around the suffering?
I think there is. I think you can learn just as much, and Buddha said this, I believe. He said you can learn just as much from joyful experiences as painful ones. But having said that, painful experiences provide a lot of opportunity and a lot of motivation for learning. And for many people, it accelerates the learning process.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
I would like to introduce you to Rebecca. Rebecca was an energetic and physically fit woman. She was surprisingly successful at an early age. She had beautiful homes and several cars and was moving into more financial success. Then at age 24, an event happened that changed her life forever. In a very short time, Rebecca was blind and a quadriplegic. This did not happen due to an accident, but rather something went wrong in her body where her cells began to kill themselves.
But it happened out of love, right? Happened out of love and a learning experience, and it's part of her life script. Again, my heart goes out to her, all right? I know I'm kind of just being weird with that, but it's like when do we stand up and say enough is enough? We're not going to continue to excuse away this stuff. And I'm happy for her. There's a really good story that comes with all of this, but she's lost in the sauce like most of the world. The Stockholm Syndrome on steroids. That's just the bottom line. That's what's going on here.
Time was running out and they could not figure out what was happening to her. She was getting worse. The rate of the disease was killing her, and she was given a week to live. They successfully managed to stabilize the disease, and she was eventually able to go home. Although Rebecca was home, she now couldn't see or move. She just laid in darkness, bedridden. Was this just a random event that happened to her? Or, taking into consideration the idea of a pre-birth plan, did Rebecca choose to have this happen to her? And if so, Why would she choose something like this?
It was 2 days after my 25th birthday. I went to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't get myself back up. And I had to call for help, and it was the last time that my legs actually worked normal. When I went to see that doctor about a couple days later, I was in a wheelchair to see him, and he seen me for about 5 minutes, and he looked at me and he said, "I think I know what's happening with you. I don't want you to go home. I want you to go straight to the Cleveland Clinic. They're going to have a bed waiting for you. I think what's happening is your body is trying to kill itself. I think your immune system is trying to eat away. And I think because of the vision loss, it's made its way to your brain." And he was exactly correct. And so I went right from there, me and my mom, to the Cleveland Clinic. And I was there for 2.5 months. I got in there on a Tuesday. And they did a grand round with me, which means they flew doctors in from around the world. About 12 to 14 doctors came in the following day to just try to save my life because they said my immune system was fighting against my body to try and kill me. And so they gave me till Friday to live if they could not stop it from happening, because it had entered my brain stem and had gone into my brain, which is why I was losing my vision.
Now, did you and your mother have discussions about being told that this is the end? Like what was the conversations with your mom?
I look back and I think, sometimes it's harder to watch people be sick and, go through those situations and actually be in those spaces, because my mom said, "I wish I could trade places."
I'm not sure if... Did I lose the internet? Can you guys see? Uh-oh. Oh boy. All right, if you just hold on 1 minute, I think I lost the internet. Okay, I am still there. Yeah, because I got a notification. If you guys can hear me, again, please let me know. Okay, I'm back. All right, let me just rewind it. I don't know where it left off, so I apologize. I'm going to rewind about 15 seconds.
Discussions about being told that this is the end? Like what was the conversations with your mom?
I look back and I think, sometimes it's harder to watch people be sick and, go through those situations and actually be in those spaces, because my mom said, "I wish I could trade places with you. I'd trade places in a heartbeat." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't want that, because then I'd be looking at you, sick and trying to figure out, if you were going to live or die." So when they brought us the last will and testament to go over, it was just so funny, being 25. Like, what am I going to leave in my will, even though I worked really hard, and I had some things, and she's like, "What do you want me to do with your body? And what do you want, Wow. And my best answer was like, "Well, if we could find a way where you could just put me outside and like the old ways, just leave my body there, even put me to the fire, and maybe play some Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb." That was all my mom. My mom was like, "You know what? We're not going to do this right now." And Thursday, I just ended up having this dream. I had a dream about this big bear, and I was walking with this bear, and I was just petting this bear, and we were walking down this path that had already been, created for me to walk down. And I told this bear, I said, they say I'm going to die. And this bear says, "You're not going to die." And I said, "Are you sure?"
Now, did it feel like a dream, or did this feel sort of real?
It felt like a dream, but it felt so real, especially when I could see myself in the dream. it just felt so real.
I mean,
Even me walking with this bear and me touching this bear, I could almost like feel the
fur,
sensation of,
the thick,
it was amazing.
the air, the breeze,
everything,
the sun.
all of it, the sun. It was so real. And he said, I said, you're not going to die.
Kind of had a funny synchronicity. I don't remember what I was listening to today, but it was something. Oh, I think it was Star Gods actually, and it's kind of a funny synchronicity. Like, he talked about how there was a video he watched about a glitch in the Matrix where a bear, just, was a glitch in the Matrix. Some video he saw or something he saw it in person. I don't remember, but it's just kind of funny to, again, see that something like that line up.
Almost like feel the
fur,
sensation of,
the thick,
it was amazing.
the air, the breeze,
everything,
the sun.
all of it, the sun. It was so real. And he said, I said, you're not going to die.
Do you think you were having an out-of-body experience?
I think I was. And I couldn't believe it. It was my confirmation of saying, I'm not going to die. And they came in about an hour later and checked my vitals, and all my vitals had shifted around. And so whatever it was in that moment, it just kind of gave me that
little boost.
Fire, of belief again, and saying, okay, you're telling me I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to trust in that. And it was amazing.
You were in the
Business.
corporate world, okay, and then this this profound experience happens. 3 years later,
Well, I wouldn't say 3 years later I was back to normal. I was still laying in a bed. My movement would start, I would be sat up every day, and I'd still have to be, cared for. But my movement was still limited.
So it forced you to really look within.
Yeah. I mean, I could not really get myself into my wheelchair by myself. I still needed assistance. I couldn't get out of my bed. And so one day a friend of mine came and said, hey, I gave your information to a friend of mine, and he said he wants to work with you, that you're going to be his next student. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, he's amazing. I'm not going to tell you anything about him.
He said you're going to be...
I'm going to be his next student. And I didn't really know what that meant. And my friend said, he's amazing. He doesn't just go and work with anybody. He waits until he gets assigned to work with people.
Okay.
He came over 2 days later. And at this time, I did not have my vision. I had friends over and family was there. And this man comes in my house, and I could feel his energy walk into my home. I could feel him. And I knew as soon as he entered into my room that something was taking place already, and that something was about to take place. And he sat down in front of me, and he put his hands over my eyes, and he said, don't open your eyes. You're going to see white flashes of light. Don't open them until I tell you to. And within about 4 or 5 minutes, he was done. He finished. I could feel the heat and the energy coming off his hands. I could see those white flashes of light that were so bright in my eyes. And he took his hands away from me, and he told me to open up my eyes. And ever since that time when he did that, to this day, I've had better than 20/20 vision. My eyes have been amazing, and I got my sight back.
So, how's that first story? Now, I just want to add that, I'm happy she's okay, and that whatever happened. We're talking about someone who had powerful friends. She was well off. And again, this is going to be a really strong statement, but I always try to put myself in the minds of the control system, okay? And how it functions. So, even though, yes, I believe, this type of energy healing is absolutely real. It happens, okay? Now, we don't really hear about it all that often, but it does happen. She's also in a position where, she went to the Mayo Clinic and they, sent all these doctors in and blah, blah. She was able to afford top-notch care, okay? she also had a friend or somebody, a business relationship that, whatever it was, whoever it was, that knew she wasn't well, okay? And knew somebody who was really good at healing, okay? And that person came in and healed her. And she's talking about how, you see white lights and blah, blah, blah. And, and then all of a sudden she's healed. She's got vision back. She went from on death's doorstep to overnight being okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to say, again, is going really far out there. But again, if you put yourself in the shoes of the controllers, you can say to yourself, well, she's an asset. She's an asset to the Matrix. She has friends, powerful friends, because she's successful. Successful people usually hang around successful people. And the Matrix, what would it do? It would try and heal its assets. Okay? The ones that keep it functioning and keep it going more steady. And so there is less possibility of somebody figuring out the scam like us. So I know that's really far out there, and I'm not saying that's definitely occurring. But what I'm saying is it's a high probability that, this place is structured so unbelievably, it's structured beyond belief, okay? That's the best thing I can say. It's so well under control that I don't put things like that in here unless I feel they're possibilities. And, I'm not saying that's definitely what's happening, but I mean, here she is, she's in a documentary, it's pushing the narrative, she, at the end of the day, she might have had some spiritual transformation as a result of her connections and access to resources and friends in powerful places. But those friends have even more powerful friends in more powerful friends in high places that can come down and, or, meet her and heal her. And what happens at the end of the day? Here she is in this documentary pushing, everything's happening for a reason and blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm not an insensitive asshole, but I'm just saying this is something that needs to be said. We're talking about a Matrix narrative throughout this entire thing. She has the resources, is healed, and, well, here we are. Just saying. Make of it what you will.
And this man bowed in front of me, and he said, I am going to be your teacher until Spirit says otherwise, if you'll have me. I would just stare at certain parts of my body and just connect with them. My hands, I'd be like just almost asking them to please move, and my thumbs, please move. Let me just see some movement.
So you
my
would
feet
sit there
and just concentrate.
will that thumb to start to...
Yes. And one day my thumb moved.
You connected.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need to be able to have enough guts to begin placing the pieces in, together, and seeing the bigger picture. Then it's powerful. Then it's empowering. And you move from the frustration and anger to possibly empathy, understanding yourself, empathy of life experiences and what it can do to you or for you, and the ability, the awareness to see other people with that empathy, to have compassion, and to be able to, as she says, listen to them.
Listening is just so amazing. The things that we do not hear.
Listen to them. Listen to them. Just listen. Follow instructions and do as you're told. You know how much listening I did? I'm just, all these years, and I didn't get some grand playbook. No, I just figured out that this entire experience is rigged. And that's all. And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there's a lot wrong. Sorry, there's a lot wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that's the way this place is designed. It's designed for you not to figure out there's a scam going on.
When our eyes are open and our ears are open and our hearts are open, we hear. But to really listen to what's going on around you when your eyes are closed and everything's in shadow and you're just laying there listening, it's definitely different than when your eyes are open and all senses are peaked.
So it sounds like at this point in time, this man that came to you was a healer.
Amazing. He did things that were amazing, that not only my eyes and heart witnessed, there were many that witnessed what he did.
So there were other people in the room.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And I mean, it was very emotional. And my eyes were restored ever since. And he would then come over and he said, I don't want you to give me anything. I don't want any money. I don't want nothing. I just want you to do everything that I'm going to guide you to do. And when someone does something like that for you and brings your vision, I was just like, I'm in. You tell me whatever I'm going to do is, and he said, as long as it feels good to you, then I want you to do it. But if you just will go through the steps, no matter how hard, you and I are going to handle this and tackle it together. And you're going to heal, Rebecca, out of necessity, because these are things that you are going to go on to do. And at that time, coming from a corporate world.
Go on to do?
Healing work.
Okay. So he was getting you back to healthy.
Yep.
And then he was going to also start teaching you on how to do what he does.
Well, he said I would find my ways, but he taught me so many things that were just so advanced for someone who knew nothing of his teachings. I mean, he was a master of so many different arts in their culture of the Asian world that I couldn't even grasp some of the things that he would be speaking and telling me about. I was grasping it on some level, and the protocol, but the openness also. It was just so very powerful that for me to try to think that after his teachings of so many years to become a master of all these arts, that I was going to grasp this within a few hours or a few days because of something of how he explained it to me. I mean, I respect the service and the work a little bit more than that. The ancient arts of their teachings were
Did he ever
amazing.
tell you why you were summoned? How did it come? Did you guys ever have a conversation about, well, why me? What? Out of the blue, you just picked me.
We did. I had conversations a lot about that because, I couldn't find myself in a poor me, space. I've always been a very positive person, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But we did talk about that. And he said, there's people that are chosen for certain things, that the weave and the web of life is a huge network. And we're all a part of it in our way. And, I remember him saying to me, there are billions of people in the world. And we all have our own little fingerprint, which means we all have our imprint, to offer our service and our medicine here. And you're going to go on, and do it in your way. We could learn the same medicine, and you would offer it differently than I would.
When I talk in my books about learning through opposites, I'm referring to the soul. The soul learns best through the experience of opposites. A very common life plan, for example. A soul wants to deepen in compassion in the upcoming incarnation. That soul will often plan to incarnate in a family in which they're going to be treated with a profound lack of compassion. The reason for that is that the absence of compassion in the external environment is intended to provide both the opportunity and the motivation to go within and cultivate self-compassion, and then invariably the life plan calls sometime down the road for them to take the self-compassion and turn it outward in service to others.
We don't.
Hear it again.
The reason for that is that the absence of compassion in the external environment is intended to provide both the opportunity and the motivation to go within and cultivate self-compassion. And then invariably the life plan calls sometime down the road for them to take the self-compassion and turn it outward in service to others.
Let me just say that I went down a path where I almost became a Zen Buddhist monk. I was in the thick of things inside the matrix, okay? I was this close to being sucked in for the rest of my life, and I got out of it. And I worked on coming from a point of compassion and empathy, and I still stand by those values today. But the point is it's a frame job. There are things in place to get us to fall into traps like that. Okay, this is serious. This is not some bullshit, because this is something I lived through, and this isn't me. It's about talking truth about a mechanism that's in place. Like, you want to help others. You want to be able to do good by people whenever you can. But did I have some like immediate, clear knowing of all knowing paths? No, I didn't. I mean, but I can see how easy it is for someone to fall into something like that, because that's what religion's there for. That's what structured hierarchies are there for. Gurus are there for. Priests are there for. They're all there to try and, pull you in and keep you sucked into this goddamn matrix. And it's not going to happen anymore. That shit's over. And I suggest everyone come at this experience with sovereignty and liberation in their minds, their hearts, their spirit, their soul. Cloak it all. Just cover all your bases. Outside of that, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. You want to make sure that you are taking care of every possible avenue imaginable while you're here. So when you cross over and leave this physical vessel, that you will not leave anything up for chance.
We don't know how to be happy if we don't experience sad.
Right.
Or
I would never really know what joy is unless I've experienced heartbreak and devastation.
Right.
I could never really appreciate those moments of joy, and we never really reflect on those moments of joy as when we're in those moments of suffering. We look back on all of the wonderful, beautiful memories of people, places, and things that we've experienced when we're either in deep suffering, and then we can appreciate the joyful moments. And then when they begin to show up again, we have an appreciation for them once again, and they are much more meaningful at that point.
Yeah. The concept of duality. It's not exactly contrast, but
it's contrast in the form of polar opposites very often. So you have up, down, left, right, good, bad, black and white. It comes back to the analogy of the white room that we talked about earlier.
Yes, it does.
If you are a white being in a white room and that's all you ever experience, you can't really understand what it means to be the white being in the white room.
Okay, so the interpretation you hear right there is Plato's cave. With his little, brainwashing twist on it.
But if you come into this realm of duality where there's something other than white, then you really learn what it means to be the white being in the white room.
So I think that if I experience...
You figure out what the meaning is to be, brainwashed into the white room and all this little lingo that's going on. Guarantee this guy has been a trained hypnotist. I know I've seen him before. I've never, but this is the type of guy that, you know, you look at and you hear what he says and you just immediately know that he's got agenda all over his place. I counted, I think, when I first watched this, and it's been quite a few months. I saw it, I think, sometime last year, this video, and I've been saving it. But I think he mentions his book either like 6 or 8 times, different books too. So throughout the course of this interview, you hear him, you know, drop his books 6 or 8 times. So, you know, agenda. Buy my books. That's what you hear constantly. And then his, you know, his little programming mantras along the way. Just disgraceful.
Sorrow. It's not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily, or pity on myself, or, you know, because I know when we get into the life review, they're like, well, why did you spend so much time pitying yourself? Well, I think it teaches us the duality of joy.
Everything we experience here is a developmental stage. It's a step in learning. And this is why the quote-unquote higher beings on the other side have no judgment.
Higher beings on the other side. Hierarchy. I know a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but a good chunk of people out there who listen to my channel, they do not like, and some of them are, you know, borderline combative about there being a hierarchy out there in the astral. I'm just saying what I see. That's what's happening. You think I like it? I don't like the idea of it. I'm not propagating it or anything. I'm just saying that I don't. It's present. Just like it's present here, it's present there. As above, so below. So below, as above. That's just the way it is. You know, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I'm just trying to say, if you keep looking enough, you see that same type of system that's here in the astral. Don't fall for it. Don't allow yourself to get sucked into that stuff, my friends.
Never say that something is good or something is bad.
Right.
It's just viewed as another step in the evolutionary process.
And when you're faced a challenge, like an addiction, and you hit this point.
I think that is what's happening there. I think that's the most intense and extreme version of having one's heart broken open. The way you phrase the question, it makes me think of the gentleman in my first book, Your Soul's Plan, who is the subject of the chapter on alcoholism.
Oh, did you hear that, guys? My Soul's Plan. You want to go up and look up his book right now and buy it? Just wanted to make sure, just in case, you know, this is, you know, go ahead, buy his Matrix book. Go ahead. Here, just want to make sure you guys hear it.
Intense and extreme version of having one's heart broken open. The way you phrase the question, it makes me think of the gentleman in my first book, Your Soul's Plan, who is the subject of the chapter on alcoholism. And he talks about an extended period of his life in which he was abusing alcohol, and then one day literally fell to his knees while he was alone in his own home and called out to God and said, I just can't take it anymore, help me. And from that moment, his life changed.
Fell to his knees. I just did a near-death experience commentary yesterday about a beautiful, I think she's got, honestly, you know, I don't really get too touched. I try to compartmentalize my feelings as much as possible because I hear all sorts of sad stories with near-death experiences, you know, just like I'm sure many of you do. And it's difficult, okay? But at the same time, you have to, you know, let me just Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
And he talks about an extended period of his life in which he was abusing alcohol, and then one day literally fell to his knees.
Okay, so yeah, the falling to his knees. The near-death experience that I did a commentary on yesterday, which I know the stream is long, but the commentary part of it is about an hour and a half. So even though it shows a lot longer than that, if you want to hear the bulk of her near-death experience, and I think she is a legitimate soul who has been beaten and abused here, and it's sad. It's sad, but I try to divide up my feelings and emotions for what's going on as often as possible. So, in order to keep me on the right path so I can make a proper judgment call about what I'm hearing and what you guys are hearing too. Because I'm not looking to skew the lines at all and, send something. But when you hear someone like Sharon yesterday, it's very, very touching. It's difficult, but there's a lot of truth in there, and it exposes, again, the Matrix reincarnation soul trap. So it doesn't matter how dark the story gets or how love and light the story is. We go through both spectrums to zone in and see the truth about the mechanisms at play and the patterns so you can prove it to yourself. Remember, my channel is just a stepping stone for you to do your own research. It's all about you doing your own research to prove it to yourself. The examples I show are a drop in the bucket compared to what is out there. So please remember to always be doing your own research, question everything. I even showed examples of cases where I thought there was complete bullshit. Like the whole thing, the whole story was concocted. Okay? But then, most of them are they are legitimate near-death experiences and just general experiences, and they are being fooled. Doesn't mean that they don't have spirit within them, that they're not are authentic. It just means that they're being taken for a ride, just like we have. We're all here. Let's not fool ourselves and say that we're special and this and that. The only thing we're really special for is that we figured out the scam going on here. But as far as we're these grand manipulators and have it all figured out, we don't. There's no way to have all of the answers while you're here. It's just not possible. This is the type of realm where all of the answers cannot be revealed because it's a realm of deception. It's a realm of manipulation. This is how this place functions. So don't allow yourself to get lost in trying to get every little answer possible, because it's just not the way this place is built. Be content with the answers you can prove to yourself. Be content in the answers that you can see patterns in and prove things to yourself. Because the answers lie in the patterns. What you're doing is you're looking at the code in the matrix and you're saying to yourself, okay, well, I see a pattern here. I see a pattern there. And, and then the patterns start building more and more and more and more. They just keep building until it comes to the point where it's undeniable. And you can feel safe inside yourself saying, oh, okay, I may not know everything. I may not have the answers to this or that. But what I do know is that I am a sovereign spirit being, and I have a right to consent and deny consent. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. seeking answers within the confines of this matrix doesn't work because the veil exists. So just get it out of your head. You're only going to get so many answers. Like, once you can get to that acceptance, you'll feel better. You'll it's not going to be amazing, but it's just, you're going to feel better. You're going to be like, okay, I have the most important answer. So take that, embrace that, and go enjoy the rest of the day that you have, and it's okay. Remember, you got to empower yourself. Empower yourself, my friends. That, again, we'll never know all the answers. Just be okay with some of the answers. But you got the most important answer. I mean, what's better than that? Can't beat that. That's like the biggest thing I'm grateful for, is being able to find this stuff and share it with others once in a while. And say, hey, you can go out and do your own research and prove this stuff to yourself. I mean, it's great. And I say to everyone here, go ahead, do what you got to do. If you feel comfortable in making videos, make videos, and maybe cover some near-death experiences yourself, or past life regressions, or blog posts, or social media posts, anything. Put yourself out there and say, hey, you could make an anonymous screen name and just talk, or just type and put posts every once in a while, or share links here, or share links to Wayne Bush and his efforts, or Dan at the Overwatch Project channel. All that stuff. Put it out there and just do a small part, because you never know who's going to find your content or your post. And you can just think about it. You can help someone get the fuck out of here. What's a bigger gift than that? There's nothing bigger than that. That's why I do so many videos, because I want that random person who may run across my channel, or that random person who may run across a link that maybe you will share, or I will share, and run with it, so they can finally see the truth with actual fucking evidence, not with the Archerians channeling up in God knows where that you can't prove. Okay? It's about the patterns. If you can't present a pattern for something, then you might as well have nothing. Okay? What's the pattern of this realm? That this realm is bullshit. Okay? That's the ongoing pattern. What's the ongoing pattern of this realm even further? That it's suffering and pain and love, and and all this other stuff. But then there's this undercurrent that we can see in near-death experiences, in DMT and ayahuasca breakthrough trip reports. We can see things in pre-birth memories, deathbed visions and visitations, premonitions. And I'll even go out and... I'm not even going to say that, because this is where I lose people. So I'm not even going to say it. But the point is, if you zone in on those areas, you start to see a similar pattern. I'll see, we'll go as far as out-of-body experiences, astral projection. Group them all together. And what do you see? You start to see patterns. Take those patterns. Embrace them, because that's where the truth is. And that's how you will help yourself and help others. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to others. Do your own research. Don't have to believe me.
Who is the subject of the chapter on alcoholism. And he talks about an extended period of his life in which he was abusing alcohol, and then one day literally fell to his knees while he was alone in his own home and called out to God and said, I just can't take it anymore, help me. And from that moment, his life changed. But he hit rock bottom in that moment, and that's what it took for him to open up to the divine?
I think addiction, there's two things that I've been shown why addiction might be a problem. Usually, and the biggest one is that it's something that we've agreed to come in and experience that. It might be for ourselves. It might certainly be for someone in our family. It might be to further research. The other thing that occasionally, very occasionally does happen is that we've chosen way too much in our pre-birth life.
All right, lady. Chosen too much. Okay, I have a video I was going to put out last week about cellular memory. Okay, and I'm not going to go too in depth about that tonight, but you have really in a very brief moment I'll explain that. Let's just say you die, okay, and you're an organ donor, and you donate your heart, okay. They will give the transplant, and the person who receives the transplant may likely pick up traits that you have. Such, let's just say you like hot peppers or onions or this or that, and you didn't like that before your transplant. You pick up those things out of nowhere. So you can be literally living, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of your life without liking those things, and all of a sudden you come out of surgery and from your transplant and you like those things. And I was talking to Simon today, and who I, had a very long discussion with the other day, a good friend of the channel. I love him dearly. He's a good man. And we talked about how today in the Astral Projection and Lucid Dreaming group on Zoom that, it would be foolish of us to think that intergenerational trauma, the positives and the negatives of life, are carried over from our parents, okay, and our parents' parents, and our parents' 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 parents, okay, through the sperm and the egg when life is formed. And you pick up traits, things that maybe you do or don't want, and you live with those. And that goes and links in with cellular memory, okay? And I'm going to try to get the cellular memory video out this coming weekend, so I got a little bit more to do. I'm kind of weird with trying to be a perfectionist with some stuff. And cellular memory is just such a fascinating topic. And I will just say, in my opinion, with exiting this place, I think it's important that we all make sure that cremation is part of our plan. I mean, I don't necessarily say it's like, oh, if you don't do it or have it set up that, there's no hope for you. No, I don't think that, but I'm just saying, why put an obstacle in your path that is not necessary? And I just want to say, look at her. She's wearing a black corsage or whatever that thing is. It looks like doesn't even look like a flower. It looks like one of those bath scrunchy things. And she's got black fingernails too, so just saying. These are the little things I look at when someone's trying to push matrix narratives on me.
Experience that. It might be for ourselves. It might certainly be for someone in our family. It might be to further research. The other thing that occasionally, very occasionally does happen is that we've chosen way too much in our pre-birth life, really. And we don't always...
You took a big course load.
We did. And we don't always have to... Again, this is where free will comes in again. We didn't listen over there. Perhaps we were advised, hey, maybe not have 6 or 7 things that you want to learn. Maybe have 2 or 3. We didn't listen. So we would come in and find that alcohol, drugs, some of these things might help us cope and deal with those.
A lot of ambition.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we talk about life plans and planning certain experiences before birth, we have to define what we mean by plan. It does not mean that there's only a plan A. There is. But there's also a plan B, C, D, E, F, and on and on and on. So many quote-unquote backup plans that it's really beyond human comprehension. Your soul knows that you have free will. Your soul wants you to have free will because it's your free will choices that really bring about the growth and learning. So the pre-birth plan is like a framework, and within it there are many, many sub-plans or backup plans. You can't go outside the framework. You can't do something that is not within the scope of possibility for that lifetime. But within that lifetime, you can stay on plan A, the highest vibrational plan, or go to B, C, D, E, and F, and so on. Very few people are going to stay on plan A for the whole lifetime. And that's not a bad thing, because if you make mistakes, that's how you grow, and your growth is your service to the world.
Okay, so if you go through all this effort to make these plans, and we know that life scripts are part of it, okay? It's overwhelmingly obvious that that's what's going on. Please look at my Michael Newton Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls commentary. I know I mentioned them earlier, but it's an important part of research. So, and you can go and again do it on your own. I don't want to rant about that again, but make sure that you're dedicating the time to yourself, and not like if he's talking about how you have, life script A, B, C, D, E, blah, 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 okay? You would think that, in order to get your ass out of here and ascend, or whatever the hell the new age mumbo jumbo is today, that you would want to follow your script. Remember, consider you're under the delusion, you're under the veil, you haven't woken up yet, so to say. It would make sense that the path that you chose initially was the one you wanted, so you can progress sooner and get this over with. But he's kind of saying, oh, well, most people, they don't go with option A. They'll go with B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, 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 blah. All right? The reason he's saying that is because that's how the system works out. That's how it's all set up. It's set up where it's set up for you to fail. It's a system you cannot please, you cannot win until you find yourself. That's how it works. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just the way it is. I'm sorry. And in time, if you do your own research, you'll see it. So I highly encourage you to do your own thing.
That's how you raise your vibration. So you have some sense before you're born, and your guides do as well, that this particular path is highly probable for you. Whether or not it actualizes depends again on your free will decisions. But given everything we know about who you are and what your intentions are for this lifetime, we think this is the path that is most probable. So you're being shown a future scenario of high likelihood. But it isn't guaranteed to happen. Again, that depends on your free will decisions. Now, there are some things that are planned as certainties. For example, let's say that you plan to have a particular physical handicap that can't be treated by medical science in what other period you're incarnating in, and you would know that before coming in a body. Then, short of a miracle, what we call a miracle, you're going to have that physical handicap for that lifetime. Or your choice of parents. Once you're born, you can't undo that choice. So those kinds of things are planned as certainty. But that's a small minority of the planning. Most of the planning is possibility, probability, high probability.
All right, what I'm going to do, just give me a minute here, trying to make sure the music isn't playing. One moment here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take a quick break, and I'll see you in a moment. Feel free to stick around. I'll probably be about 5 minutes, and we will continue, and we'll probably be going into a part 2 in the coming days. Okay. So let's get back into it. Not sure how much longer I'm gonna go, but yeah, it's almost midnight. Wow. Okay. Let's see. I was hoping to make it through half of this. Let's see. Well, we'll keep going for a little while. Headphones are all messed up, so. All right. Okay, my friends. Hope you all had time to unwind, take a breather. Let's get back into it.
That are involved in our lives, are they all there? Our mother, father, children,
Our mother, father,
grandparents, are they all there at the meeting?
Absolutely.
Because I'm trying to get an idea. All there are the people that are involved in our lives. Are they all there? Our mother, father, children, grandparents, are they all there at the meeting?
Absolutely.
Because I'm trying to get an.
It's an interesting little reveal, isn't it? You know, and I try not to crap on everyone who does all sorts of hand gestures, but you know, putting it out there just needs to be acknowledged with something like this. Make of it what you will.
Are the people that are involved in our lives, are they all there? Our mother, father, children, grandparents, are they all there at the meeting?
Absolutely.
Because I'm trying to get an idea of when does it take place. It must take place prior to my parents being born.
Absolutely, it does. There, like I said, there seems to be a very large gap between rebirth, when someone would come in and when someone would transition. There seems to be a time where the soul group would all have a time to communicate together. We would innately remember, as soon as we're on the other side, what we were supposed to do here, perhaps. And because we're so benevolent, because we're so altruistic over there, sure, I'll come in and help you deal with your alcoholism. Of course, I'll deal with abuse if it helps you. We make these agreements because we do understand how temporary this physical form is, this life, and that we do get to go right back home. So every significant relationship that we're in, we absolutely have an agreement with them to come in. I would have agreed to my children. You would have agreed to your parents. We all make these agreements to come in, learn from each other, have these experiences together, and then go right back home.
So I would think that the life plan, would take a great deal of planning and a lot of discussion. Do you agree with?
I absolutely agree. From what I've been shown, it takes a significant amount of time. I think that if we do decide to reincarnate, from what I understand, it's usually about 50 to 75 years before we come back. Some people take a little bit longer. Some people come back a little bit quicker. But we are guided and directed during that entire time of what we should be doing when our soul decides.
We are guided and directed the entire time. Okay, you know what the translation for that is? You're told what to do. Know your role, get up there, and continue on with the scam. That's the translation.
To learn what we need, maybe perhaps to balance out in our life. Let's say we were someone that was very cruel to others our last lifetime. We might come in this lifetime and just agree to have someone be cruel to us. There always seems to be a balance, a yin and a yang of every experience.
Does that have something to do with karma?
I believe that it does a little bit, but that karma relays a little bit of a punishment for something.
The connotation of karma,
the connotation of a punishment, and that's not what spirit is like at all.
Okay, karma is a guilt trip, the never-ending guilt trip. That's what this matrix is all about. It's about giving you the shame, fear, and guilt matrix. Karma and judgment go along with it together, and in turn, we build these belief systems while we're here, lifetime after lifetime, with the veil present. And in turn, we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves along the way and are taken advantage of because we give our consent to go along with the scam. So really, really important to understand that aspect of it.
It's a loving experience. There is no judgment. Humans have judgment. When we're in spirit, judgment simply doesn't exist. So our soul has an understanding when we're in spirit of...
Wait, what?
There is no judgment. Humans have judgment. When we're in spirit, judgment simply doesn't exist. So our soul has an understanding when we're in spirit of what we could have done better, how our actions and behaviors affected those around us. And of course, we'd want to make that right.
Okay, so that's a lie. That's a blatant lie. There is judgment, and again, but it's self-judgment that we pick up as belief systems while we're here. I mean, that can't be said enough, because we're responsible for, I mean, you know, I hate even putting the blame on us, but we have to take the responsibility of the consent aspect of all this, because we were given a right to consent or not consent. And in turn, if you build up these belief systems while you're here about karma and judgment and sinning and all that stuff, then the system is just like, it's drooling, waiting for you, you know, to send you back here. You be good, you act good, you show respect, love, compassion, empathy, as it's deserved for the, you know, with those that you are around. But as far as taking things you may have done that are wrong, and we've all done things that we're not proud of at some point in our lives, at varying different degrees. But taking those and within the construct of this matrix is basically a slavery sentence. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Carrying those on into the, you know, when you cross over at death and taken advantage of by these parasites, it's horrible. I mean, the only result is that you end up back here, or a cog in the wheel of the matrix in some way, shape, or form. And the only way is to stand firm and say, I don't consent. I have this protection around me. I will create my own realm, and I am not going to deal with these outside influences to suck me back in and recycle me into this matrix. Whether it's 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90 years, doesn't matter. The point is you are better than that. You deserve better than that. And this cycle of suffering and manipulation and deception is over. This is the last time.
I think there is a tremendous amount of discussion, but I think it all happens in what would just be considered a moment of linear time. Again, that time difference between the physical and the non-physical. But taking that out of the picture for the moment, what happens, as I understand it, is that the life plan is created by the soul in conjunction with the spirit guides, other enlightened beings who are coming in to help, and also God. And once the life plan is put into place,
God too.
Then the guides share the life plan with the personality. Again, a portion of the soul's energy in a physical body, but before it's become physical. And the personality almost always agrees to the life plan because it's apparent that it's based on great wisdom and complete unconditional love. Now, in a very small percentage of cases, the personality starts to feel human emotions before coming into body, and specifically maybe some fear around some of the challenges that have been planned. So if the personality expresses doubts that perhaps the life plan is going to be too difficult, then the personality is reassured by the guides. We think this is for the best, the highest good of all beings. We feel that you can do it. We encourage you to do this. And at that point, most of those who have expressed fear or doubt agree to go ahead with the life plan. There's a very small percentage who continue to say, well, I don't know, this might be too much, I'm concerned, I'm worried, I feel afraid. And if they continue to feel that way, then the life plan is amended so that they're comfortable with it. So no one is forced to do anything that they don't agree to. If you don't agree to the life plan, then it gets changed such that it is agreeable to you.
In order for me to be here on this planet, I would have to be aware of my grandparents' sort of meeting. I would have to have some insight on some linear time at some point. I guess I'm trying to understand this time thing again.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to wrap a physical third-dimensional brain around the concept of no time.
Right.
Because, everything that the brain is pulling in is coming in through the five senses, which are set up to perceive linear time. So I go back again to that analogy of the soul listening to a CD, where each song is like a lifetime. And the soul is able to hear all the songs on the CD at the same point in time. But we can't do that because of the limitations of the brain and the five senses. So I've come to the conclusion that I'm not fully going to understand this discrepancy in the concept of time until I get back to the other side. And then I'll understand it much better when I'm there. Then I'll reincarnate, and once again I'll be confused by it. I think that's just the nature of the experience.
If there's a blueprint or a plan, and then there's this free will. So there must be like this basic idea of what we're supposed to be doing, and then there's this opportunity
that you're going to be my friend, or that you're going to be my mother, or that I'm going to be someone's parent. Those cannot be changed. I mean, even terminations or miscarriages, those were planned. I mean, literally, I hate it. There is free will, but with those significant, who I'm going to come in with, who I'm going to grow with, no, there does not seem to be a lot of free will with that whatsoever at all. Even with adoptions, my mother would give birth to me, and she knew that she wouldn't be able to have me or keep me. She would put me up. The person that would adopt me would even be included in that pre-birth plan. So those relationships, I feel, are definitely absolutely written into the pre-birth plan. The events that we do in life, our purpose, we can stray off of that. There is free will in that. And again, it's not dictated down to the second. If I want to turn left and I'm being told to turn right, nothing significant is going to happen.
I think that part of the free will, that aspect would allow us to really make the choice on our own, really learn.
And where we mess up here, where we feel that, again, because it's not, messing up is a strong word. If I could have done better or felt that I treated someone unkindly, I get the chance and the opportunity to come back and make that right. So absolutely there is a free will caveat to this, because there are when I've made the
I get to come back and make that right. I get to enter this matrix again and do it right, and have my memories wiped and do this all over again and not know what the hell happened last time. Again, think about it, my friends. If you are in this matrix, okay, you come here with a veil of forgetfulness. Everyone comes here with the veil. And there are all sorts of excuses and bullshit out there to try and get you to say, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. The veil is, it's a noble thing. It's a good thing. That is wrong. Dead wrong. It's a handicap. It's a deception that we agreed to. That yes, we agreed to it, but that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it noble or just or ethical. That's the problem. That's the problem with all of this. It's not right. It's screwed up. All the power is within. The things that I do here are about empowering people and spirits specifically, to realize that they can transcend this place and not fall for the bullshit, but just, you have to have it within you. Have it within you. Don't doubt your power. And remember, you can always change your mind down the road if you want to, but don't allow these outside forces when you're on your deathbed to come in and control and manipulate you. That's not acceptable. That's not right. And that's how we get here. That's how we keep coming back here. Get out of that cycle. Don't allow that cycle to take a hold of you. You're better than that, and you deserve better than that.
Agreement to come in and do something. I've made the agreement with the understanding I'm going to be kind and lovely and wonderful and charming and patient all day, every day, and of course I'll support you. That doesn't happen in real life. When we get down here, we have other extraneous circumstances happening. I have a bad day at work.
Sure.
I get fired from my job. I burned down,
Fly
little.
off the handle,
Exactly.
angry, yeah.
So if those things pile up, perhaps I come back and go, oh, wow, I really could have been more patient with my children.
She said she was about to say, like, I burned down something, and then stopped herself. What was that? I burned down my house, or I set fire to my workplace. what was that?
Happen in real life. When we get down here, we have other extraneous circumstances happening. I have a bad day at work.
Sure.
I get fired from my job. I burned down,
Fly
little.
off the handle,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
What
if
was
those
she gonna
things pile
say?
up, perhaps I come back and go, oh, wow, I really could have been more patient with my children. I'd like to come back and try that again. They, of course, would support me because they would have an understanding again. This is temporary. We go back. This is a never-ending cycle.
I would think the flow chart would kind of keep guiding us back to experiences that would facilitate that type of learning.
It does. But those sorts of experiences, which ones you call to yourself, which ones actualize, depend upon your free will choices. So let me give you a hypothetical story to illustrate the intersection between free will and pre-birth planning. Let's say that there is a soul, and I'll arbitrarily call this soul Sally. Sally's had a number of past lives in
This guy's a
which she
Sally.
planned to learn and do certain things in those incarnations. But then when she got here, she had a tendency to defer to the wishes of others. Not an uncommon thing to do. In other words, she let other people tell her how to live those lives. When Sally has the life review at the end of those lifetimes, she sees that she has this tendency to defer to the wishes of others. And so she plans in the next incarnation to bring it back into body energetically, not for the purpose of expressing it, but rather for the purpose of healing it.
So we got another assignment.
Another assignment.
Another assignment.
Now, let's say there's another soul in Sally's soul group. I'll just call him George. George has had a number of past lives in which he had the opposite tendency. He had a tendency to dominate others and use power inappropriately. When he has his life review, he sees this, and he resolves to carry that tendency back into body, again, not in order to express it, but rather to heal it. Now, because they're in the same soul group, Sally knows about George's pre-birth plan. So she goes to him before either one has incarnated, and she says something like, "Hey, George, I'm bringing back into body the tendency to defer to the wishes of others for the purpose of healing it. I see that you're taking back into body the tendency to dominate others, also for the purpose of healing it. Why don't you and I make a pre-birth plan that we'll marry, say at the age of 30? And although we know this is likely to be a turbulent marriage, our hope is that I'll learn to stand up for myself and you'll learn to respect the wishes of others." And George says, "This is a great idea, let's do it." So that's their plan. Now let's say that when Sally is in body and 25 years old, she gets a job with an employer who treats her with a profound lack of kindness. And let's say she marshals her internal resources and she takes a stand. She says, "Stop. If you want me to continue working here, you must treat me with respect and kindness." In the moment she takes a stand like that, there's a tremendous increase in her vibration. If she can sustain the heightened vibration until she's 30, now one of two things will happen. Either she and George never meet, because by virtue of the law of attraction, her vibration is here, his is here, they go right by each other. Or if they do meet, nothing comes of it. Again, their vibrations are so dissimilar, there's no attraction, they have one date, and then that's it. So in this hypothetical, Sally has used her free will to learn the plan lesson, which in turn obviates the need for the plan challenge, the difficult marriage. So it simply never happens. Now, you might say, well, then what about George? Doesn't he still have to learn his lesson?
Want to see the look of someone lost in the sauce?
The plan lesson, which is vibration, or if they do meet.
That's the look of someone who is falling for the bullshit. Or just in on it the whole time. It's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. He's like, yeah. Life scripts are getting all messed up in here.
Nothing comes of it. Again, their vibrations are so dissimilar, there's no attraction, they have one date, and then that's it. So in this hypothetical, Sally has used her free will to learn the plan lesson, which in turn obviates the need for the plan challenge, the difficult marriage. So it simply never happens. Now, you might say, well, then what about George? Doesn't he still have to learn his lesson? Yes, he does, and he will magnetize to himself other experiences that will give him the opportunity to do that. So you see there's this intersection between free will and pre-birth planning.
So sometimes we choose these people, but we never actually have contact with them.
Well, it depends on your free will decisions and their free will decisions. And that's why you have, again, the quote-unquote backup plans. So, for example, in the Death of a Loved One chapter in Your Soul's Plan, the person...
Oh, do we miss the promotion of another book? I just want to rewind it just in case, guys.
In the Death of a Loved One chapter in Your Soul's Plan.
Your Soul's Plan. Just did you write that down? That's want to make sure that you got this matrix library on hand just in case you need it.
The person who is the focus of that story there is a woman who lost her only child to a seemingly accidental drug overdose, and then also lost her fiancé in a diving accident only 24 hours after they got engaged. And in working with the mediums, we talked with her son and we talked with the fiancé. And I remember when we were talking to her former fiancé, we said, what would have happened if for some reason the diving accident never took place? And he said, well, I had other backup plans that would have led to my death at more or less the same point in linear time. One of the other options was a motorcycle accident, and I don't recall specifically what the others were, but there were these backups in place so that what was planned would happen at more or less this point in linear time.
Has any of your clients ever recalled their pre-birth plan discussions?
Actually, quite a few have recalled that. And then here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I deal with a lot of parents that have lost children. I would say about half of those have had a closeness or a connection with their child that is in spirit that was very different from their other children. I know that for myself as well, too.
Really?
I felt slightly different with my daughter that's in spirit. I felt very protective of her. I felt there was a fragility to her. And it's really not very uncommon for a parent to just have a feeling that they can't explain. And oftentimes they're very uncomfortable talking about that. They don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to talk about that until the child is in spirit, that they just knew, or this child had an older soul or seemed a little bit wiser or different. They just felt something. They wouldn't have that soul with them forever. They simply had a knowing. So yeah, I think it absolutely does slip through. We sometimes have a feeling that the relationship won't.
I hear this. I think about people I've talked to, mothers specifically, and others out there who have lost loved ones, and I can't imagine someone getting stuck into the vortex of this. It's difficult to stomach thinking that someone can run into this.
Or seemed a little bit wiser or different. They just felt something. They wouldn't have that soul with them forever. They simply had a knowing. So yeah, I think it absolutely does slip through. We sometimes have a feeling that the relationship won't last that long, or we'll know that we might not get to see a parent or a grandparent again. There is a memory that does slip in.
The ability to feel what another is going through can be difficult to understand.
Okay, my friends. So what we're going to do is we are going to leave our evening at that. We're approaching 2 hours and 40 minutes. And we will pick this up maybe tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm not sure, and finish it off. We've still got another 45 minutes just in the video alone, not including the commentary. So I want to thank you for joining me. I really need to get a new mic stand. It's got a mind of its own. Actually, it's just actually spent the extra money for a good one, and it doesn't seem to really want to cooperate. But anyways, I will get a new one eventually. So I just want to say thank you again for joining me tonight. Jeannie, I'm very sorry to hear that. Jeannie, do you mind if I ask how recent that was, or when that was? Five years husband, 2 years son. I'm sorry for your losses, Jeannie. If you ever want to talk, feel free to reach out to me, Jeannie. foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. It's foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. No channel. It's all together. I'd be happy to talk to you. I also have Skype and Zoom. I can't imagine going through that in such a short amount of time, and I just want to let you know that my heart's with you, and clearly the chat is as well, and yeah, so just want to make sure that you know that you're cared about and you're loved, and that there are people here that care, and I wish you nothing but the best. And if you'd like to speak sometime, feel free to reach out. All right, my friends, gonna wrap this up. Just so you know, I do have 2 backup channels on YouTube, just in case something should ever happen here. I would suggest, if you enjoy the videos here, the streams, go sign up to the 2 backup channels and hit the all notifications. And also, I still get comments regularly about people not getting a notification about the live streams. And the only thing I could suggest is that making sure that you have the bell clicked for all notifications. The bell has to be fully lit. If it's not, then YouTube just randomly will send you a notification every once in a while, and how that all works, I don't know. All I know is that if you got it lit up is all, then you'll get a notification when I'm streaming or upload a video. And this week's kind of been an exception. I've been doing a lot of, or this previous week has been an exception. I've been doing quite a bit, but normally, 2 videos a week, 3 tops. So I also want to suggest that if you would like to hear some different streams that are not YouTube friendly, head on over to my Odyssey account. And there's an invite link in the description tab as well for that. So if you're new to Odyssey, please use the invite link, because what it does is it helps me promote my channel over on that platform. And I do exclusive streams there every once in a while. I just spoke with a good friend and creator, Scott, here on YouTube, or over on Odyssey, but he does videos on YouTube. And having some issues getting that stream published. We spoke for a few hours and it's just not showing up. So I'm waiting to hear back from Odyssey on that. But Odyssey is a nice platform. I do suggest it. Kind of talk freely there. So that's where I go to talk freely. I also have a Twitter. This is me and my grand promotional skills, so buckle up. I have a Twitter, which I barely ever use. I have a Twitch that I pretty much never use. I have a Instagram, which I rarely use. And those are just all ways for us to stay in touch together. I also have plans to get a website going for the channel. So if you'd like updates on the website and its progression and when it goes live, because what I'm planning to do is move, I'm going to try to get a forum over there and a encrypted chat system. And so, we could just say whatever the hell we want. We don't have to worry about anything, okay? And no one can shut it down. So, because, I'm not under any illusion that this is going to last forever here. So, but if it does, that'd be great. I do my best to make sure that I stay within the guidelines, but good luck knowing the guidelines. So yeah, just in case something should happen here, those are all ways to stay in touch. And if something ever did happen, I would send a notification on all those platforms. So if you're signed up on them and want to follow me or subscribe to me or whatever the hell they call it, then feel free. And yeah, the website, I'm hoping to have that going by the beginning of the year, first few months of the new year. So keep an eye out for that. And if you want updates again on the website, just shoot me an email, foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. There's no channel in that, so that's foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. And put in the topic email list, so I know that's what the email's about, so I can separate them, and it just makes my life easier, so I'd appreciate that. Also, I do have a members, YouTube members section, so if you'd like to sign up and support the channel, feel free. Of course, it's not required. It's just a way of, if anyone does want to contribute towards the progress of the channel, it's always appreciated, but never necessary or expected, because I know we live in tough times, but it is an option available. And we do have members live streams once a month, and I do occasionally do pop-up live streams that are just random, but I did only recently start up the membership, so I've only done 1 month of them. But if you do join, you would have access to the old content as well. And I think our next member stream will be on the 14th, this Sunday. So that'll be November's monthly live stream. And then, of course, we'll have another one in December. So just want to throw that out there in case anyone's interested. And I'll just check the chat really quick before I sign off here. Michael Anthony says, thanks, FC. Miss Ellie says, thanks, FC. Always enjoy your vids. Thank you both. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I am says even the word condolences, emotional trapping, however I express my positive energies towards you. And that's directed at Jeannie. Yes, all of us feel the same way. But yeah, it's interesting how that word is just, or that is kind of put in the mix with condolences and consent. Doesn't mean we don't care. It just means we're breaking down the word. And yeah, Miss Ellie says you spoiled us this week. Yeah, I kind of went crazy this week with streams. PKOSP says, take care, everyone. I got the notice, was ready, but fell asleep. I'm elderly, 51. Sleep well, PK. Glad you're able to make some of it. That's good. Y'all got the note. It looks like some of you got the notice. That's good. I've been getting comments still almost every day, or 5 times a week. I get notice. Oh, I didn't get a notification for your stream, blah blah blah. And the only thing I could think of is to hit the all notifications. Other than that, I don't really know what else to say. Okay, where are we here? Okay, just a quick. PK says Stockholm Syndrome on steroids. Oh yeah. That is this realm. That's literally the everyone just explains away everything about this place and doesn't look at it logically. I mean, how could you look at this place and say it, it's noble and that it has all this real meaning behind it? No, it's everything that happens here is the complete opposite of what is projected, in the astral realm and with, everything, just everything. And we're not going to go into all the finite details. We went over a bunch of them tonight, but you know what I'm saying. Vampire Slayer says etymology is a key to unlocking knowledge. Yeah. Yep, I completely agree. Etymology is extremely revealing, but it can also drive one to insanity. Not saying don't look at it. I'm just saying it's one of those things that when you start to learn etymology and see how much you've been duped and how you were built with this certain language and understanding, and it breaks down and means different things, then you say, oh, I used to say blessings all the time, and occasionally it still slips out, much love and blessings to you. I'll say that once in a while. And occasionally I'll let that blessings thing pop out, and it's, be less. I mean, you can analyze everything and anything and come out on the other end and just, it's, so I suggest, just live your life. Just live your life. Be aware, do your digging with etymology and just everything as whatever research you're doing, but don't let it control you. That's all. Especially if it's your, you got your native language. I mean, English is, designed to have us lost. And, it's a lot of it works, but once you see the cracks in the pavement, so to say, then it doesn't hold any power over you. Just say this doesn't hold any power over me. So I can say these types of things, and maybe I will go out of my way to still not say them, but if I do, they don't hold any power. They're meaningless. They are nothing. They are, a snot in the rag. Okay. You know, you like how I ended up end this? I'm gonna end the stream on that. Okay, my friends, thank you so much. Much love to you all. Stay safe. Have a good week ahead. Don't let the Matrix get to you, and we'll see each other again real soon. Thank you. And just know, I do love you all, and I appreciate all the kind words that you leave as comments. Thank you. We'll get out of here. Hashtag last timers.